Welcome to this edition of the BRSN Insider. I'm sitting down with women's lacrosse coach Amanda Magee. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You guys still number 2 in the polls. Just talk about the ranking and what it means to the program. I know we talked about this already, but to consistently hold that ranking.
You know, it's really, really exciting for us, and it kind of makes us have to change our mind frame a little bit. You know, we went from being the hunter to kind of being the hunted. And especially at that national level in conference, we're used to it. So it helps us kind of get into that mind frame of the target is getting bigger on our backs, and what are we going to do to continue to elevate our play to get better.
You guys have got off to a 2-0 start in conference, won those games by a combined score of 46-2. Talk about how important it is to get off to that good start in conference.
Yeah, it's really important to get off to a good start in conference play for sure. You know, those games are difficult in a different sense for us. So a little bit more mentally challenging. You know, how do we work the possession clock? Are we making that extra pass? You know, maybe not looking for the good shot, but for that great shot. So it's been really important for us to get off to a hot start in conference for sure.
So what's the biggest difference from a game perspective when you get up to a big lead? What are some of the things you look for from your girls?
Yeah, so we start to work on different scenarios. So maybe we work on blowing out our offensive set a little bit farther in that 12 or in the 8, or using the possession clock more, running some more of our difficult plays that we haven't had a chance to do against maybe some higher nationally ranked teams. And then just really working on our chemistry more and figuring out where to set each other up for success.
You guys played a really strong schedule to start the year. How is playing that strong schedule benefiting you guys now?
Yeah, that helped us tremendously. And I think it was a huge confidence boost, and it kind of helped us understand what it takes to beat these better teams, what these, ranked teams even look like. We really only had a couple experiences with that, with playing SCAD in the national tournament. And being able to, now come into these conference games and having that sort of experience behind us of, all right, we beat the number 2 team, we beat the number 3 team, we beat the number 6 team. Having that confidence to go into a game and feeling like we could beat anybody, that's huge for us.
We always talk about the offensive side of the ball, but just giving up 2 goals to start conference play, talk about what makes your defense so good.
Our defense is just consistent, and like you said, they don't get a lot of the glory and they don't get a lot of the shout outs, but they are just tough back there, and we really hit home those fundamentals. So if it's a 50-50 ball, meaning if it's on the ground, that's got to be our ball first time, every time. And we have a lot of ladies back there who play with such poise. Erin Robber is just such a consistent player for us. Megan Ostrander. And they don't get a lot of the glory, and obviously if we make a mistake, it's huge. You see it on the scoreboard. That's a point. But they have just done so well this year, and I'm so proud of them and that the way that they play and the composure they have.
And you guys had a schedule change this week, so talk about that schedule change and maybe how it impacts the schedule coming up.
Yeah, so we had to move our game against Midland University. It was supposed to be yesterday on Wednesday, and it'll get moved to next Wednesday. They have some dual sport athletes who are in the ice hockey tournament play, so that's why we had to move that. And then, that affects us a little bit practice-wise. Obviously, that means we can bump things up a little bit and continue to push them a little bit more. But it's just, it doesn't affect our play too much.
One thing that might help with that game getting moved, you guys get more time off. Now, how important is the time off for the ladies?
I think mentally it's more helpful than it is physically, because I'm continuing to push them probably more than we've pushed them so far this entire season. So I think it's a nice little mental break for them, maybe get some more schoolwork done, a little bit more rest, and then reset for our game against Ottawa on Saturday.
You can talk about that game against Ottawa on Saturday. What do you know about Ottawa? What are your expectations for Saturday?
They're an interesting team, and we've we've had a storied history with them, I guess. It always feels a little bit more personal when we play them because they did beat us that one year in the conference tournament, our second year of having a program. So it always feels a little bit more personal. And I know they've got some good players. They've got some really, really athletic ladies on the team. So we're going to look to obviously set the pace early in that game and just score early and often.
All right, Coach, thank you very much, and best of luck to you on Saturday.
Thanks so much.
Women's lacrosse coach Amanda Magee on the BRSN Insider.
A wise man once said, "The world offers you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness." Discover what you were made for. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
Back on the BRSN Insider, I'm sitting down with men's lacrosse coach Mark Blaise. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You guys moved up to number 7 in the national poll, the highest ranking you guys have ever had. Talk about the ranking and what it means to you guys.
It's just a number. Having something next to your name is great, but at the end of the day, the automatic qualifier is more important. It is important. The higher you can get before the conference tournament, maybe can position you to get one of those at-large bids. So that's a really good thing. I think we've done some good work out of conference to kind of set us up for that. But at the end of the day, it's just a number. So.
You guys got a 15-4 win over Clark last week. You guys had some time off. Talk about how important it was to get off to a good start in conference.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Especially with our conference is really deep, and so it's really big to pick up those wins. It's also really important for us to get a lot of more guys involved. And so that game, we saw a lot more guys playing, which was really good for their confidence moving into conference play when we're going to need more of that depth. We're playing more games more often, and definitely need more guys to step up.
What are some of the positive things that you've seen from your guys in the first 7 games?
Well, right now we really have like a never say die attitude. We've gone down in games and battled back. We've had leads that have gotten cut down that we still fight till the very end. Offensively, we've shown a little bit of inconsistencies, but defensively, the way we play second, third, and fourth quarter is probably better defensively than I think anybody else in the country right now.
Now, on the flip side, what are some of the things you want to work on going forward?
That first quarter, I very intentionally said our defense is not good first quarter. Our defense is terrible first quarter, and so working on that, getting off to a fast start, and having confidence in our offensive ability as a team. So often, maybe the first 2 shots don't go in, and we get down on ourselves a little bit, and having confidence to realize that whether or not the first 2 are saved, it doesn't really matter because it's how you respond on that third one.
You mentioned your depth. How important do you think that depth is going to be the further you get into conference play?
I think it's huge, especially because we get the ball up and down the field really quickly, and so that's really big for us. And so we really play. We play 4 attackmen. We play 8 offensive middies. We play a ton of poles, ton of LSMs. Really, almost everybody can play defensive midi. Even some of our attackmen play midfield, and so that depth is huge. It allows us to play a faster paced style, and it also allows us to pressure more on defense.
You guys played a couple higher ranked teams at the beginning of the year. How do you feel like those games are going to help you in conference play?
Well, one, I think they gave us confidence to realize that we're right there. Madonna's now the number 1 team in the country, and we were right there with them. Indiana Tech's the 3rd team in the country. We were right there with them. Even like a game like Aquinas, where it was definitely a close game. They're now number 10, and that was a game where overtime. It's good to get an overtime win under our belt because we had gone through that bad stretch of 4 overtime losses, and so confidence and kind of being there before is huge for us.
I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that Aquinas game. The final goal by Trevor Svoboda. What did you see from the sideline on that goal?
I was about to call timeout. I thought Trevor was about to turn the ball over maybe, or I didn't think he had a good angle. I thought our offense kind of looked a little stagnant for a second, and I was like, "Ooh, man, maybe I'll call timeout." And then I kind of saw that Trev was kind of working on something, and he got a great shot off and really shielded his shot. That goalie I don't think saw that ball till the last second.
We'll talk about the rest of the conference. You mentioned the depth at the conference. Talk about everybody else in the KCAC.
So Missouri Valley right now, I think is sitting at 4 or 5. I can't remember off the top of my head. They're a really great team. They have a lot of really key returners at the attack. Also have Ryan Barnes, which is kind of the X factor. Then there's us, and then St. Mary's, Columbia, Ottawa. Any given day can beat anybody in the conference. They're so tight and so good. St. Mary's has beaten Aquinas. Columbia, beat Michigan Dearborn. Had a really tight game against Indiana Tech.
Yeah.
They're a really good team. They really took it to St. Ambrose. They have a lot of depth and a really good goalie and defense. And then Ottawa, who we're facing tonight, 91-8, are huge for them. So it'll be definitely a tough test for us.
So going into tonight, what are your expectations going into tonight?
I definitely want to play good team defense. When you're going up against a team that has very specific weapons, it's not an individual matchup. It's a team matchup. And so just because, maybe Ethan Novacek is guarding 91 doesn't mean that it's his matchup.
Yeah.
It really comes down to all of us doing our jobs. And then on the offensive end, I just want to see us execute. We've seen zone a couple games in a row, which, we've kind of have some troubles with. And so, we'll see maybe a little bit of zone tonight, but they typically play man-to-man. And so, that'd be kind of nice to get back into the flow of man-to-man offense.
You guys have had a week off. How important is it that week off to give the guys some rest?
Yeah, it's huge. The other big thing is getting back in the weight room. When you're playing games every 2 days, you're really not getting in that weight room flow. And so getting our guys in the athletic training room and getting them in the weight room for recovery and also just kind of figuring out where they're at. And also, it kind of lets us get back to the basics. Instead of saying, hey, we're going to prepare for this team for the next 2 practices and then we're going to play, we're able to, hey, let's work on some of our things that are our identity for 3 practices.
Yeah.
And then let's turn our focus on Ottawa and spend, 3 practices working on Ottawa.
All right, Coach, thank you. Best of luck to you tonight.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Men's lacrosse coach Mark Blaise on the BRSN Insider.
Shakespeare once said, "Some are born great, and some have greatness thrust upon them. The rest of us," he said, "have to achieve greatness." We know exactly what he means. Be not afraid of greatness. Achieve it. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
Back on the BRSN Insider, I'm sitting down with men's basketball coach Ryan Moody. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dakota.
We'll go back. We'll talk about the 2 national tournament games. First, that game against Westmont. You guys got down early, but Jaden Bristol kind of put you guys on his back in the second half.
Yeah, special effort out of Jaden in that one for sure. Westmont, a very good team out of California. They had a plan to essentially take our 3-point shooting out of the game if they could, and so it opened up a lane. And I think Jaden missed his first 2 layups at the rim, really got down on himself, and then I think he proceeded to make 8 or 9 more as the game went on and finished, I think, with 36 points. Made some big shots, really carried us, and had to. I mean, because the game plan pretty much said Jaden Bristol has to beat us, and he proved that he was good enough to do that. So, heck of a game. We were thankful to get through it. It's a kind of a long week leading up to that game when you're down at the national tournament. So, I'm glad we had a good night.
You guys came back in that game against Pikeville, just a grueling game, very back and forth. You guys got down big in the second half. What was the key to that second half comeback?
Yeah, crazy game. I mean, 2 really good teams, 2 physical teams on back-to-back nights, right? So the rest is limited. We got down 15 in the second half, and you're asking what the secret was to get back in it. On X and O standpoint, we went zone, tried to take away their big guys, and tried to rebound a little bit better. Offensively, we just stayed aggressive and really tried to just do what we do, and shots started falling. We didn't make threes at the same clip that we're used to, and that put us in a bind. But the guys battled, played with a lot of emotion, depended on each other. We got some good minutes out of the bench and some scoring, and just found a way to claw back in it. 50-minute game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was such a good game, a great game to be a part of. The crowd was amazing. Unfortunately, someone had to lose, and that was us.
Yeah, unfortunately, season came to an end there, but you've had some time to reflect on this now. What are your thoughts on this season as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, incredible season. 31-4. Started out 1-2, won the next 29 games in a row, which is the longest win streak in school history. Went 24-0 in the Heart to win the regular season. That's never been done in the Heart since it's expanded. Won that many games undefeated. Getting to the Heart tourney final for the first time in school history.
Yeah.
I just super impressed with this group. Those accolades are fantastic. There was all five starters were given some sort of postseason honor by the Heart. I think looking back, the big thing that we take out of it is what these guys were able to accomplish together. We focused on about three things: defend with passion, share the basketball, and have a culture with great chemistry. And the guys really they were able to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why we had the season we had.
You had 2 All-Americans this year, both Adam Cutney and Thomas O'Connor, both second-team All-Americans. 1, talk about the achievement, and 2, talk about the impact they've had on this program.
I mean, 4-year guys that have played since they were freshmen, we're thankful they chose us to help them get to where they want to go, both academically and athletically. That's hard work paying off. Those guys, they're in the gym all the time. They've never stopped working. They're in the weight room all the time. They're great leaders with their teammates, high-character guys that just went to work. And, I mean, this is what happens when you do that. I think it's a great model for everybody out there. Like, you put in your time. You go through some rough patches. I mean, their first year was average, or their third year was average. But then it culminated in this, and they just kept grinding. And I think all of us hit roadblocks sometimes, and you sometimes think about, can I push through? Well, let's look at those 2 guys. Second team All-Americans, only averaging about 13 points a game. That's a great reflection of this team, not just those 2 guys. So it's a team honor also, but really happy for them, and their hard work paid off.
Now, what does your guys' off-season schedule look like? I know you just finished up, so what's the rest of the off-season?
Yeah, we take about 2 weeks off. We all need a break, and a break from just the pressure, a break from the routine, and even a break from each other, a little bit. And so we'll get our legs underneath us. We'll get April 8th. We'll get back on the floor, get back in the weight room, have about a solid month before finals start, and just really, April 8th is day 1 of 2019-20. There's 11 guys returning from this team this year, and quality players excited to get started. In fact, a lot of them have already been back in the gym working out. So we're excited to get started. The big thing is weight room. Got to get back in the weight room.
Now, you lose 3 or 4 players this year. Now you get to start recruiting. What are some of the things you're looking for recruiting-wise?
Good question. So we lose 5, all huge culture guys total. And we lose 2 starters. So, we've got a good core of young players, and especially young bigs. So I think our priority right now in recruiting is wings. Yeah. We're going to lose Tom, this year. We're going to lose Grant this year. We're going to lose Kyle this year, and then next year we lose Colby and Wills. So we're looking at wing position players right now. We've got a couple offers out there. We don't have any commitments, but that doesn't scare us too much. And we've got a great list of guys that we're bringing in over the next month to see if they're a great fit. So, we're right in the heart of it. We'll see what happens.
All right, Coach, thank you very much, and congratulations.
Before you get off, I got to say thank you to you and all of your people that help you with this broadcast every week. It's a lot of people watch it. It shows a lot of effort, and I think it's a great reflection of our school. So we appreciate you putting us out there every week, and I want to thank Josh Pound as well for all he does. So thanks, guys, and hopefully we do this again next year.
All right, thanks, Ryan. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Men's basketball coach Ryan Moody on the BRSN Insider.